Welcome to the Steelers' latest, your daily spot for all news and information related to your Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm your host, Cole Denis, and remember to like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the content to stay up to date with everything Steelers. And I apologize for the bare walls today, but we just moved. I will fill these in with some jerseys by tomorrow. We'll get TJ and Troy up there for you guys tomorrow. I just have to unpack some stuff. I apologize about this. I know it looks kind of like a prison setup, but let's get rolling into the show. Aaron Rodgers has raised the level of accountability on the practice field. Reports have came out stating that. I think it was from staff in the Steelers building talking about how Rodgers is doing this at practice, how he's also focusing on teaching guys post reps on how if they've messed up, how to run the plays, how to just get better during the play, what to look out for on a certain play, certain formations on the defense. This honestly great news considering Najee Harris, who left this past all season, came out saying that there was no one to look up to on his side of the ball here in Pittsburgh, which ran true for a while since 2021 when Ben retired. I mean, we did have Russ last year, but let's be real. Russ has never really been the team leader for any team he's been on. In Seattle, it more felt like the Legion of Boom and the defense's side of the ball when that team was really rolling. In Denver, never felt like his team. And in Pittsburgh, I just didn't get the vibe that he was the leader on the offensive side of the ball last year. So having Rodgers, who on the other hand has been criticized for being a little too hard on players on his side of the ball, receivers especially, I think as fans, we're going to see him continue to slowly show this leadership ability and his leadership mentality and just his presence on the field. I think he's going to win a lot of us over because I think this hard style of motivation from your quarterback, like Rodgers gives, can really work well with such a young roster like we have, especially on the offensive side of the ball. We are young everywhere besides at quarterback and left guard and maybe wide receiver one, but DK's still pretty young in my opinion. Rodgers can elevate all these guys' game. I think he can pull out a next level out of every player on the offensive side of the ball. Basically, I think there is another level to their game, and I think Rodgers can help them achieve to get there. Let's talk though about a little bit of extra help as Mark Caboli recently came out talking about how the Steelers are looking at two recently cut wide receivers, those being Trey Palmer of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Malachi Corey, recently released from the Jets. Honestly, in my opinion, these two don't really move the needle too much. They're more of depth additions to the offensive side of the ball. Trey Palmer, probably a slightly better player overall, but Malachi Corey, on the other hand, is probably the better short-term option if we want a little bit of information about that Jets offense, just because he's been there all preseason. He knows the offense. He just learned the entire offense to try and make the team. Got cut. Now we could go out there and use him to get our defense a little bit of an edge over that Jets offense. I'm a little upset though, honestly, if we do make one of these moves because I don't know why we wait until a couple days, a week before week one to start looking at wide receivers. Because let me just list out four wide receiver names that signed for under $6.5 million this year. Amari Cooper, Tyler Lockett, Brandon Cooks, and DeAndre Hopkins. All these guys move the needle way more than Trey Palmer and Malachi Corey. All these guys make you have a legit number two option. So I just don't understand why the Steelers didn't try to go out there and force move earlier with one of these receivers. You also had the McLaurin trade possibilities before he signed. There were a lot of options at receiver this offseason, and it just feels like the Steelers didn't really capitalize out there. There's still Gabe Davis out there, which he's definitely a better option than both Palmer and Corey. So I would more lean his way. But as I said, Palmer and Corey seem to be the ones the Steelers are looking at since they were released from their team. Let's talk about week one, though, because it is week one in the NFL, and the Steelers have the Jets this week. And this, shockingly, I wouldn't usually say this, but this is an important tempo setter to our season. These are both QBs are on their new teams. Both QBs are now playing their former teams. Both QBs want to prove a point for sure here. And if we slip here and get in a hole early, I know it's just 0-1, but digging ourselves out of a hole late is not going to be possible. It's going to be really hard to do with how tough our schedule is. We got to capitalize on these early winnable games through the first 6 weeks. I think we have the chance to go 5-0, and it starts here against the Jets. I hate to say it, but honestly, kind of a morale level type must win, in my opinion, just because we lose to the Jets early to our former quarterback. Aaron loses to his former team. Morale in the locker room is just going to be way down if we lose this one. The Jets aren't going to be a good team this year. They might have a good defense, but they're not gonna be a team in the playoffs, in my opinion. So I hope we can get out of here. Let's talk about some of the important matchups in this one, though. Um, so you got DK versus Sauce Gardner being my matchup for our offense versus their defense. If you look at how they both graded out last year, DK has the slight edge over Sauce for sure. I do think his size provides a great advantage over such a slender build like Sauce Gardner has out there at cornerback. Now, Sauce still performs at one of the highest levels with that slender build, but if the refs let us play a little bit out there, get a little physical with the cornerbacks, um, DK can really dominate this game. That would definitely lean to our advantage in this Sauce Gardner or DK Metcalf if he can get a little bit of physical out there, little push-offs. AJ Brown's always able to get away with it, so if DK can use those moves to his ability, I think he'll have phenomenal first week for the Steelers. Now moving to the defensive side of the ball, what's the key matchup there? I'm just going to say Justin Fields versus the entire Steelers secondary. Of course, the major one from the secondary being Jalen Ramsey versus Garrett Wilson. Think Ramsey's going to really put him on clams. But I say the whole secondary because there's definitely going to be a shot here to have a multiple turnover day. And I think it's going to come from the opportunities that Justin Fields will provide us with his inaccurate passes. We know from last year that Fields isn't the best passer. He is a great runner of the football, but once you start throwing it past 10 yards, the accuracy starts to slip really fast for Justin Fields. And with a QB we are so familiar with, we should be able to confuse Justin Fields. He isn't the, as I say, he more relies on his physical gifts than the mental gifts when he's playing football. He's just a physical freak his whole life and hasn't really had to develop the mental side of the game, the ball knowledge side of the game. So it's just we should be able to get him lost out there, confuse him with some coverages, and get him to throw a couple of interceptions. Hopefully, think we should win both these battles if everything plays out how we think it is. Let's get to the Monday comments, though, to wrap this show up. Well, whose comments should we start with here? Jag MD, his comment being, I'm also predicting a huge year for TJ, but for different reasons. I think he was robbed of several opportunities last year because the QBs were throwing quickly for soft coverage. Our secondary is going to force opposing QBs to hold on to the ball. Absolutely agree with this. As I said in that video, TJ, after his last contract signing, went off crazy. And we've been focusing all offseason long since the additions at cornerback on how this is gonna affect the defensive line and let the defensive line get more pressure up the field because our secondary should not be playing off coverage anymore. And I mean, with Darius Slay, Jalen Ramsey, put them on the line of scrimmage. Give them no space. Don't let anyone get open. Don't let anyone have any free release because this defensive line plus this secondary, I have high hopes. I think they're gonna be the best defense in the league this year because of that combination. So, and TJ Watt is going to be the main leader of it because, TJ's that dog. And TJ, you give him just not even a full second, give him a half second longer on most of his plays, and he'll have 5 more sacks this year. I promise you. And final comment from Jay Grine. If A-Rod and DK develop a special relationship on the field, the offense will be lethal. I'm feeling good about the rest of the receivers room as well. On paper, we're looking good. 4-0 is absolutely realistic. Packers will be tough. Great episode. Thank you for that at the end there. But yeah, if Aaron Rodgers and DK continue to work on this relationship, it seems like they've been kind of developing this relationship for a while, even before this offseason. They met up at UCLA before Aaron signed with us. Aaron clearly likes DK Metcalf's work ethic and his abilities on and off the field, and just his leadership capabilities on and off the field. Also, if you just listen to some of the podcasts and Rodgers talking about DK Metcalf, he seems to be Rodgers' favorite guy already in the Steelers locker room. I think this connection is only going to continue to grow and get stronger. The offense with them, as long as they're not running triple coverage on DK Metcalf, like you said, should be lethal. The rest of the receiver room, though, I'd like to say I'm with you, but you know how I feel about that. 4-0, though, we should be there. And if we're not, the season might we might have to start questioning things. But that has been it from Steelers Latest. I've been your host, Cole Denis, and I will see you tomorrow.